Hi, good morning. It is Wednesday morning today. It's day 20. It's a complete change of scenery here. I'm in my kitchen. Please don't worry. I am absolutely not going to do an online course of any type. But over the last few weeks, my close association with my home has meant I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen, to such a degree that the fridge door has needed reinforcing. And there is now a sign in the pantry saying, "You are not hungry, you are bored," which is probably true. Over the last few weeks, I've been massively inspired by very talented chefs who have shared online cooking demonstrations, recipes, processes, thoughts and ideas. Sandy Woods and Steve Maresh, and the wonderful mercurial David Higgs, Rudy and Marissa, who've taught us about sourdough baking and all these amazing things. And this time in the kitchen has reminded me of a metaphor that I was given with a client once. They were a school of the culinary arts. And they said, you know, that baking is a science. It's an irreversible process that relies on the right ingredients to be put with the other right ingredients in exact quantities. You shouldn't mess around. If the recipe for scones says put them in the oven for 20 minutes at 180 degrees, don't be in a hurry and think that you can do them for 10 minutes at 360 degrees. It is a science, it relies on measurability and precision, and it works extremely well if you follow a good recipe. It said the other thing we try and teach people is the art of cooking. We said, well, what's that about? They said, well, cooking relies on a bit more imagination, a bit of touch, a bit of feel. It relies on experimentation. It relies on putting things of different quantities together a little bit. It relies on some innovation to think what happens when you don't have an ingredient. What do you do? Well, you've got to make a plan. It relies on all sorts of ideas and thoughts, and it doesn't always follow an exact recipe. So what was the metaphor in this science of baking and the art of cooking? Well, it turns out the metaphor lay in management and leadership. That management is a bit like baking. It's a bit like a science. It provides us with some great recipes. It provides us with some policies and procedures and things we should do in an emergency. Safety procedures. First aid is a procedure. Good accounting principles, corporate governance, GARP, Basel. These are wonderful recipes that shouldn't be messed with, and we should bake accordingly. But leadership is a little bit like cooking. It's a little bit more of an art form. It's not always precise. We make mistakes. We try new things. We influence through conversation sometimes. We influence through presence. We influence through who we are being. And there isn't always an exact recipe. We don't know through this time of shutdown and COVID-19 exactly what the recipe is. But we are experiencing some leadership. Some leadership that's trying. It's leadership that's maybe a twist of hope and a cup of love and 7 teaspoons of encouragement and a sack full of support. Maybe we need all of these ingredients, but we certainly need a spark of energy too. I guess over these 20 days, I've shared stories of some people. And for me, maybe those people have adopted this wonderful combination of both management and leadership, of baking and of cooking. To be a great chef, you've got to be able to bake and cook. And what this world may be asking us is, how do we manage our resources, but also lead our relationships? And so on this Wednesday, I hope you have some time in your own kitchen to think about the science of baking and the art of cooking. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.